Alright, looks like we're going to need to start today with pumping up my tyres because I've just been out in this car for the first time in a week and it seems like all my tyre pressures are very, very low. Which actually leads me really nicely onto the topic of this video today. You can probably already hear the warning signs in this car. Leads me nicely onto the topic of today's video, which is actually this car, because this car is going up for sale, or is up for sale at the moment. And really it's kind of it's a bittersweet thing for me. It feels like it is the beginning of the end of an era, and I've known for a while that I need to get rid of this car for multiple reasons, which I'll cover later. But I've been really, really hesitant to do it. And for people that are thinking, you know, it's just a car, man, like it doesn't make any difference. I get that. The physical object itself is nothing. It doesn't mean much, but what it represents is something else entirely. So I've owned this car for about 2.5-3 years now, and it's the first really nice car that I've ever owned. It's a BMW, it's a 3 Series, it's a 3 litre, and it's fast, it's comfortable, it's luxurious, it turns a lot of heads, it sounds great. And back when I first bought this car, I was convinced that I needed it, because back then I was a sales rep and I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of traveling in my car, probably doing 200 to 300 miles a day. And I had every justifiable excuse under the sun to spend a little bit more money on a decent car, because back then I was earning decent money as well. Hey, mate, are you waiting for the machine? All right, no worries. I'm not cutting in, I'm just blocking traffic sat there. All right, seems like we got a bit of a wait for the machine, so I might as well carry on with the story. Yeah, so I had every justifiable excuse under the sun to buy this car, and at the time I'd had this old banger. It had 160,000 miles on the clock, and the only reason I was thinking about getting rid of it was because it was causing more problems than it was worth. So it seemed like every month or so it was in the garage, and every month there was a bigger and bigger job that needed doing. And so I needed a new car, there was no doubt about it, but did I need this car? And that was really the question. For those of you that haven't seen this car, it's very pretty. Obviously it's subjective and most people have their opinions on BMW drivers. I like to think that I'm the exception. But it did feature in one of my earlier videos, and I'll find the clip for that and play it. Okay, we're back. After that slight delay, let me just adjust the settings, reset that. Okay. So slightly lost track of where we were there, but I think I was talking about buyer's remorse, about the importance of slightly lost track of where we were there, but I think I was talking about buyer's remorse. And yeah, if you've never bought something very nice for yourself, what you'll find is you spend a lot of time deliberating on whether you should make the purchase or not. And if you're really honest with yourself, 99% of the time you don't need that thing, but you could come up with 101 reasons why you should buy it, and therefore you normally do. And what you'll find is you get this enormous rush of dopamine when you first buy it. Like when I first bought this car, I was driving around everywhere. I was picking anyone up that wanted a lift. I wanted everyone to see this car. I wanted everyone to experience this car. And I did notice that I was far more comfortable when I was commuting into work. Oh, come on, people. Yeah, and I did notice that I was a lot more comfortable commuting into work. The sound system's nicer in this one, and I love to listen to music and podcasts, so that was a big deal. But what I noticed, it's not like all of these things were massively better. Like, I didn't go to... Like, the car that I bought wasn't 10 times more expensive, or sorry, it was 10 times more expensive, probably 20 times more expensive than what I'd been driving before. But I wasn't necessarily getting 20 times the benefits. I wasn't getting 20 times more comfort. I wasn't getting 20 times more sound quality. I wasn't getting 20 times more miles per gallon or boot space or any of those things. And I think what you find is when you start spending more money on things, you get very incremental benefits. Like when you purchase something from nothing, like if you don't have a car and you purchase an old banger, then infinitely your ability to travel has gone up. Yeah, infinitely. It's gone up by hundreds of thousands of times. Your ability to travel distance, your ability to carry stuff, your ability to listen to music, your comfort, all of those things are going to go up massively just for spending a small amount of money. Whereas you spend £100,000 on a car and you'll find that you don't get £100,000 worth of benefit from it necessarily. And that's exactly what I experienced with this car. So yeah, initially I felt this massive rush and I wanted everyone to experience the car. And what I noticed is back when I was doing my sales rep job, I used to spend a lot of time on motorways traveling backwards and forwards between customers. And I realized after about month 2 or 3 that I had been sat in the car and not really aware of it anymore. And it suddenly dawned on me that I could have been sat in any car at that time because all I really needed was a car. And sure, there are some arguments for buying something quality, because if you buy crap, typically it's going to break down and you're going to spend more on fixing it up. But I didn't need to spend what I spent. And so if I really look at why I purchased this thing, if I'm really honest with myself, it wasn't for me. It was for everybody else. And I think that is one of the absolute key distinctions that I have to make about this car, is that it wasn't a purchase for me. I wanted everybody to know that I was successful now. I wanted everybody to know that I had money. And it seems so stupid and so shallow looking back on it now. It seems pathetic, you know. If I was to look at a young lad in a sports car or something like that with his arm out the window, I would almost feel sorry for him, because I would think that maybe his ego is so small that he needs to try and impress people with this car that he's driving. Like, what is so inferior about him as a person that he has to spend all this money on this thing to prove to people how important he is? And that's probably how people looked at me. And don't get me wrong here, I think if you've got a ton of disposable income, I think if you really enjoy driving, if you're really passionate about cars, I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't buy yourself a nice car. A lot of people have some crazy views about money, which I will cover probably in another video. But the point being is, if that's something that you enjoy, like, you know, I'm talking about cars, but use that as a metaphor for any particular thing. Like, let's just say you're into gaming and you want to buy yourself a PlayStation 5, and for that thing that you purchase will genuinely give you lots of joy and it will genuinely help you in some way, then yeah, it's worth investing in. If it's a pair of running shoes because you want to get back to the gym, and if that purchase is going to help you get back to the gym more often, or if it's going to make you feel better about being in the gym, then that's a worthwhile purchase as well. You know, buy things that are important to you, but make sure they are important to you and not important to everybody else. So selling this car, I guess, kind of feels like the end of an era for me, because I feel like I have moved on a lot since I purchased this car. I feel like I am a different person now, and while I still have not managed to completely disintegrate my ego, and I don't think that's even possible. I definitely feel like I'm more connected with who I am as a person. I've got a better idea about where I want to go in my future, and I'm less concerned about other people's opinions. Because that's something that's always held me back, is I've always wanted approval. I've always wanted people to think that I was doing well and to think well of me. And the irony is, it's not until you start really doing you start becoming the person that you really want to be, that you start getting that level of respect. It's not until you do the things that you think are going to put people off that actually end up attracting people. I don't know. The universe works in very strange ways. And so, yeah, this car is currently up for sale at much less than I bought it for, by the way. So that's the other thing when you're purchasing or you're making big purchases, is you've got to remember that you are probably going to lose money on it, and it's got to be worth losing that amount of money for you. And do you know what? I don't regret buying this car. I don't regret it, because if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't have learned this lesson. And although I've lost a bit of money on the car, the money I've lost, I see it as an investment in I see it as the price for a lesson that I have learned. And it was a worthwhile lesson. So totally worth doing. And I also understand that, we've all heard that, money can't buy you happiness. And we know that fame doesn't make you happy. We all know of celebrities and people in the public eye that are miserable. And yet we still want to experience these things for ourselves. And I think sometimes we actually need to experience these things for ourselves, because someone telling us something and us experiencing it for ourselves are completely different things. I think it was Jim Carrey that was famous for saying that he wished everybody could be rich and famous so that they could see that it was not everything it was cracked up to be. And I'm not famous and I've never been rich, but I've certainly had money. I've had spare money to play with, and I can assure you it didn't really improve my life in any particular way. And I won't go too much into this, because I feel like it is a topic for another day. I think money is a big topic, and I think it's worth discussing, because we all have a lot of limiting beliefs around money. So yeah, we'll cover that a different day in a different video, I think. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about getting rid of this car, because it's a bittersweet moment. I don't want to get rid of this car. I still enjoy driving it, but the reality is I've changed jobs. I don't use this car half as much as I used to, and I just don't need it anymore, and so it has to go. And also, I could use the money at the moment for working on my future goals, which again I will cover in another topic or another video, I think. Anyway, I know this video has been a bit disjointed with the whole tyre debacle, but hopefully the message got across. And I would always like to hear your experiences in the comments. So again, let me know, have you ever purchased something and had buyer's remorse? Have you ever purchased something and actually been really glad that you purchased it? Are you thinking about making a big purchase in the future, and has this video given you second thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you very much for taking the 5, 10, 15 minutes it took to sit down and watch this video. I really appreciate your time. Time is the most valuable resource that we have, and I am so grateful that you decided to share some of yours with me. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.